Hey, Bright Lights, welcome back to the Space Doctor series on the Architecting channel. It's really great to have you all here, fellow believers that design makes a difference. My name is Angela. I'm an architect, researcher, and Feng Shui practitioner, and I make thoughtful weekly videos that really help make the science behind design for well-being accessible. So whether you're a design professional like me, or just somebody who wants to improve space where you live, work in your community, this is your one-stop shop. And we do this using my Saluted Genesis deck, which has two parts. We have foundational concepts, the core things that contribute to well-being or dis-ease. And then we have the 5 aspects of Saluted Genesis. These are 5 core theories that my research has shown really do build well-being. So every week I set an intention and I draw a card from each part of the deck. I will also talk about the Feng Shui element associated with the aspects and the Feng Shui guas and give you tips for that. Every week is a little different. I don't know ahead of time the cards that I'm going to get, and really I let the cards tell their own story. Now, the card that we got from the foundational concepts part of the deck for this week is normalization. Now, what you can see here, probably something you've experienced in your own kitchen, especially when you're really hungry and want to make dinner fast. That pot takes forever to boil, right? It happens very, very slowly. We don't notice how quickly the heat is building because it doesn't build quickly, right? It's a gradual process. And that is really how normalization works as well. Over time, we get used to things. So these behaviors and situations that we start to encounter regularly start to become acceptable, normal, if you will. Now, this doesn't have to be a bad thing or a good thing. It could be either one, because this is really about what allows us to just accept as real or true or unquestioned certain norms or behaviors or standards. So we could use this to instill positive behavior by having like very consciously changed adaptations that people will then start to mirror over time, or we can see it in bad habits or processes that don't really work anymore and no one really can explain why they're doing it the way they are. They just do. That's all part of normalization. Now, the companion card that I drew comes from the Prospect and Refuge part of the deck, the Sanctuary card. This is a really interesting one to pair with normalization because this really has to do with psychological safety. This is often associated with recovery from trauma. So let's talk a little bit about the Feng Shui behind this. This is the Prospect and Refuge aspect, and Prospect and Refuge is associated with the earth element. And earth is all about stability, predictability, reliability, steadiness, right? And that is exactly what Prospect and Refuge is all about, is that sense of safety, whether it's physical safety or psychological safety. That's what we want to focus on here. So if we want to think about Prospect, is about the view that we have, the awareness, the situational understanding of our surroundings. From our refuge, our safe place, then Sanctuary is about the feeling we have. So we experience that sense of sanctuary when we truly feel comfortable and relaxed. So for example, if you're just talking straight Prospect and Refuge, you might feel very unsafe and agitated, so you are looking to find the prospect in a room or other space, but you're still maintaining more of that vigilance about your situation because the refuge you're in might only be a temporary refuge, right? It may be a situation that doesn't last, that's just a momentary condition, or depending on the dynamics of what's going on in the situation, may feel more or less safe. Sanctuary, on the other hand, is deeper than that. It is about knowing without a doubt that you truly are safe. And that's a lot of what the imagery on this card really is about. This is one of my favorite places to visit, Arches National Park, the Delegate Arch. And what I love about this particular view is that we can see the mountains, which represent the trials to be passed, hardships to overcome, behind us. And that means that we've moved past that traumatic experience. We have perspective about it now, and we've built up a certain amount of resiliency. Now, you'll also notice that the sky is purple, and that is representing spiritual awakening, transformation, because that's what occurs when we can find that sanctuary. Even better, when we weave in our normalization card, when that sanctuary can start to become normalized for us, so we can find it more often in more places, and anything that is I'll call it a sacred sanctuary for us, which is a place that we know feels safe and good to us no matter what, has a lot of stability to it. So Feng Shui, this would be associated with the earth guas. So those are guas 2 and 5 and 8, but especially gua 8. The mountain earth gua is really where we see that sanctuary. So if you think about where this gua might be in your home, what is going on in that part of your house? Have you done anything to build a sanctuary for yourself or your family in that part of your house? If you feel like you're going through a period of instability, you might want to check that part of the house. Maybe there's some clutter there, some unfinished projects. Maybe there's some things that need to be corrected or tuned up. Very specifically, though, when we think about how can we design for sanctuary, we're going to be pulling in a lot of different things. But I'm going to start with, does the space feel open so that you truly do have the most possible prospect when you are in it? You don't feel like someone can sneak up on you from behind or startle you. Does it feel welcoming? And welcoming is a lot about the person that's using the space or the population that you're designing for. What symbols and environmental anchors can you put in that space that's going to help them feel relaxed, confident, secure? Think about things like, how do we access this space? A lot of times, especially if somebody has experienced a trauma, it's important that not only they can't be snuck up upon, but that they have escape routes, meaning there's more than one way for them to get to wherever they are. So if they feel uncomfortable, or if somebody's approaching them who they'd rather not deal with, they have an alternative way to get out of the space. Think about having defensible space. So when I'm in a space, does it feel like it belongs to me, that other people are not going to try to lure me away from it or take it for themselves? Does it feel like it's clear that this is my space and that my permission or my awareness needs to be sought out before you interact with me? Is it a space that feels calm? So, a lot of times, a space cannot be a sanctuary just because it is overstimulating. Bright lights, loud noises, too much activity, visual clutter. These are all the kinds of things that make a space overly stimulating. Orientation, like, do I feel like I understand where I am and where I need to go next and how to get back to where I came from, how to navigate the space, get in and out? And of course, choice about social interaction, which is not just the defensibility of the space, but the choice of solitude or community. Do I have all of that? Because in a sanctuary space, a lot of the time, solitude and reflection, or a very more intimate connection with other people, like one or two other people in the space with you, or having the interaction with you, is important. You don't really want to be in the middle of the crowd or highly visible. So think about all of those strategies that you can use. Think about what makes your safe space. What could you do to enhance that using some of these techniques? What could you do to tune it up if you've noticed that a space that you would love to be your sanctuary maybe is missing some of these key ingredients that we talked about? And then also think about what you can do in the space. What makes it a place that feels calming, relaxing, reassuring, that builds your confidence? Design things that support those kinds of activities, because if you can regularly spend time in a sanctuary space doing activities that are building good habits, good life processes, good personal skills, you're going to normalize that feeling of calm centeredness. You're going to build that prospect and refuge using strategies based on normalizing feeling safe in your space. So even when you're not in your sanctuary space, you can fine tune or seek out elements of it wherever you go. So I hope that this really helped you think about what makes a space feel like it is your sanctuary and how to really make that part of your everyday experiences. Thanks again for listening, and I will see you next time.